Thanks for this opportunity to share my experience being a part of the Indigenous Health Administration Leadership Program. My name is Carolyn Belanger. I'm from Amiskwaciy-Waskagan in Treaty 6, that's Edmonton, Alberta. I'm a registered nurse and I'm Métis with ancestral ties to Lac St. Anne in West Central Alberta. I actually graduated from the program back in March 2022. At that time, the program was completely online to accommodate social distancing. To rewind just a little bit further back before that, I learned about the program at a time where I was feeling kind of discouraged in my role as a remote community health nurse. I just noted that the gaps in the system were taking its toll on the people that I served, and I really needed some hope and revitalization to start feeling passionate about my job again. And luckily, that's just when I found out about the Indigenous Health Administration and Leadership Program, and I was accepted. To say that all the things that I learned about, like healthcare management and governance, finances, communication, leadership, these were all like really useful tools in their own right. But I would have to say learning about them in the context of Indigenous health specifically made it more than just a curriculum that I was learning and made it much more personal. And so as I took the program and started practicing what I was learning in the program, it actually became more like an act of empowerment because in a way I felt like I was arming myself to get back in the field and combat anti-Indigenous racism at a practice level. If I had to pick like a favorite thing about the program, I would have to say, first of all, it's the practicality. Learning how to create a budget or evaluate programs or review policies, all stuff you can use in everyday life when you're working in Indigenous health. But I would have to say it's also it's way beyond just book learning because it focuses on how to advance those skills so students can begin to do those things in their work. My other favorite thing about the program is that it meant a lot to me that my classmates were also Indigenous or allies working in Indigenous contexts. I appreciated hearing about where they were applying their learnings and in their own varied contexts. Like some people were rural, some were urban, some were in government or like part of a healthcare authority, and some people were working for non-for-profit. So it was everybody coming and representing all these different backgrounds and all these different contexts. But just hearing how their stories, the stories about how they were working, was just really validating also because everybody was having the same kinds of experiences that I was having out in the field. So it became uplifting because of how dedicated they were to be in service, really just reminded me of how I wanted to show up in my job as well. So even though I switched from a student role to a peer mentor role, I would still have to say that hearing about how everybody is doing their good work is still the best part of my job. And it's still my favorite part of the program. It's so inspiring to hear how the students are talking with one another during class time and problem solving and offering advice to one another. In my role now, I do what I can to facilitate those kinds of conversations so that we're all learning from each other. And I also do what I can to support the students when they need someone to bounce ideas off of when they're doing their coursework, or if they need to do a check-in about what's going on in their lives, or even just like need to vent about what's going on for them. I try to be there for them in any way that's supportive for them. The peer mentor role has always falls to someone who has taken the program and who is also involved in the area of Indigenous health. So students can be assured that they're being supported by someone who understands their context and understands the program. As far as what advice would I give for people considering the program, I would have to say that this is a very hands-on program in the sense that there are readings and there is interactive group learning time with the instructor, but then the assignments ask you to put the learnings into your own context. A lot of the assignments ask you to use your own work and your own circumstances as an example of how you would demonstrate what you've learned. And it's okay if you don't you're not employed yet, or you're not really out in the field yet. It just means that you have to be a little bit more creative on how to complete your assignments. But regardless of your employment situation, if you decide to commit to the program, it means prioritizing the learning and the assignments so that you get the most out of the program. It's easy to let life pull you away from the program, but really you get out of it what you put in. So if you're going to go for it, find a way to really commit. Carve out that time in your schedule, ask for that education leave, whatever it takes. You won't regret it. The hard work does pay off. Having the program listed on your CV or resume, or being able to talk about what you've learned in the program in a job interview really instills like a sense of self-confidence so that you can qualify for that dream job or do the job you have in a more capable way. Lastly, I want to bring up the amazing faculty. The instructors deliver really thoughtful content, and they want you to be able to use it in real life. So they provide really helpful feedback on your assignments and make themselves available to be supportive if you're having any kind of trouble with the assignments. They are also really responsive to student feedback about what's working well in the program and what could be improved. Students' requests are considered, and things can be changed based on group consensus. So for example, when we were doing everything online, because we had to during COVID, there was a group consensus that some in-class time would be really helpful. However, not everybody could necessarily accommodate a full course of being in person. So that's when they decided to split the content online and in person. That's all based on student feedback. So it's good to know that the program is really responsive to the needs of the students. It's meant to support you so that you can do the work in the field and support our Indigenous people. That's what it all comes down to. So it's a great opportunity, and if you think it would support you in your healthcare delivery journey, then don't hesitate to apply. Thanks.